Hey guys, welcome in. It is Bradley College SportsCast. We are here to get you caught up on all things Kentucky basketball. Unfortunately, after our runs in March Madness. What is up, guys? It's Brad with College SportsCast. We are here to do our Big Blue Hoops cast. This is episode 17 of the Big Blue Hoops cast. We are on season 3, week 32 of College Sportscast. And I got Hammonds on here with me. What's up, John? You are muted.
How's it going, man?
So Hammonds is trying to keep up with all things portal going on right now. So if you see him on his phone or looking down or doing something like that, that's probably what. All right, to get it started, man, if you're on Facebook with us, we appreciate you. You can help support us, and we would appreciate that as well by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our page. That does give you your own subscribers chat and subscribers page. It's only 99 cents a month, man, and it does help us earn just a little bit of money to continue to make these for you guys. So we appreciate you. If you're on YouTube, we have grown over 700 subscribers on YouTube, and we're trying to grow that to where we can do kind of the same on that as well. So, and we are a part of Stadium Rant now. That is in the right corner of the screen, and we appreciate Stadium Rant. John and I both do a lot of writing for them, and been keeping y'all up to date on all things Kentucky basketball, SEC, and a lot of things this year, actually. Hammonds, how many you been writing a month?
Probably
on average.
five or six, seven, something like that. I've done a lot more towards the end here with the Final Four and such. I'm probably going to do a little bit on the championship.
Right. He's kind of been doing the men's coverage. I've been doing the women's coverage. That's kind of the way we've handled it since I am covering the women here with Kentucky basketball. So that's kind of the way we have handled it. All right. So last week we ended for the women. We're going to start with the women here tonight as well. But last week we ended, Kentucky had been beat out on the Sunday before last. And the portal, the transfer portal, opened on Tuesday for the women. It opened on Monday for the men, but it opened on Tuesday for the women. And the first day there was kind of a shocker for the women's team. 6'7" freshman center Clara Silva entered the portal on the very first day. They had been beat out on Sunday, and from some insiders and people that I know, there was some meetings that went on between the coach and players on Monday, and surprisingly, Clara Silva was the first one to put her name in the portal. She was a Kenny Brooks recruit. She actually was committed to Virginia Tech this time last year. And when Kenny took the job on the 26th of March, it's been just a little bit over a year ago, Clara Silva was one of the first ones very quickly to move over her commitment from Virginia Tech to Kentucky. She's a Spaniard. She's very tall. She's 6'7" for a girl. And she's got a lot of good post moves, John. What did you think about this Claire Silva putting her name in the portal first day?
I was kind of surprised, to be honest. She played in all 31 games. I think she averaged 4 points. She had 2.6 rebounds, 56.5% shooting in the minutes that she did play. She had the do not contact tag on her, which a lot of times in those cases, they usually have a destination in mind where they want to go.
This is true, but now I have been told that Clara Silva went through a little spell where she was homesick. She's from Spain. She is a Spaniard. And she had never been to the States until August. She didn't show up to 2 days before school started, like August 24th or something. And she had kind of a rough go adjusting to the United States. She also had a tough time adjusting to the United States food. For the first 2 or 3 weeks she was here, it made her sick. She was like throwing up, and it kind of made her sick to her stomach, the food. She finally found some things that didn't make her sick, and that helped her out. But I think she had a lot of homesickness as well.
Yeah, and she was a prize recruit on the international circuit.
Absolutely.
She's from Portugal. She was a top prospect. She would have been a top 10 recruit in her class. She had FIBA experience. She was, to me, Brad, she was a really big important.
She was basically the leader of the under 18 FIBA for Portugal.
She was SEC Freshman of the Week in November. There was a lot of potential there. Now, she wasn't productive in some of the games. Now, there was a few games that she played in, the 31 games, but we never really got to see what her true potential was at Kentucky.
And that's with her, John. I mean, she's the only bench player on the entire team that played in all 31 games. She was the only one.
Well, and to be fair, you're getting Clara Strack back. You're getting Tiani Key most likely back. Amelia Hassett. Losing Silva,
which is the starting front court.
It's certainly a tough situation, but hopefully can get into the portal and find some shooters, find some people that can rebound, some size, and get it together. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So also on the first day, and then on the second day, Tana Becker joined her. But Sanaya Tyler, who's a junior, played in 26 games. Actually, she only averaged about 2.6 or 2.8 or 2.3 or something like that. But she shot over 40% from the three-point line.
She did. She
didn't get a whole lot of playing time.
I wasn't so much surprised about this one as I was Clara Silva.
Now I wasn't either, and I'll tell you why. So Sanaya averaged over 10 points a game as a sophomore, and she took a big roll cut by staying her junior year here at Kentucky. So I really wasn't as surprised. But Tana Becker, John, she's a Canadian. She's from Canada. She was a freshman, but she was committed to Kyra Elsie, and she stayed on as a commitment, and she was not a Kenny Brooks recruit.
No.
And the kind of the word that I was hearing here is that Kenny Brooks wanted to start with his players. And part of that's going to be the next topic we're going to get into. But just talking about Sanaya Taylor, who we all affectionately called ST, and I mean everybody. I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about the team. I'm talking about players, teammates, coaches. Just about everybody called her ST. But Sanaya has a lot of potential. Not only that, she's a really good defensive player and she's a good shooter. I think
She,
she can go somewhere. I think she can go somewhere and have a good senior year. I really do.
yeah, I think so, Brad. In the Hannah Becker thing, that's another one sort of in that kind of same range. With Tyler.
Tana barely got playing time. She only appeared in 4 games. She really just didn't get much run at all, to be
and
honest
and
with you.
and then you got the hot topic that everybody's talking
Yeah,
about. Um,
yeah.
Cassidy Rowe.
But these two, real quick. Sanaya Tyler is originally from Missouri. Kelly Harper just took the Missouri job, and she's going to be looking for a bunch of new players um, as a coach with Missouri. It wouldn't surprise me if Sanaya Tyler goes home here. I'm not saying she does, but I just thought I'd give everybody kind of a heads up. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sanaya Tyler go home.
I'm going to say something real quick about this whole Cassidy Rowe thing. I don't know her mom and dad personally. I do know
I
her
do.
dad. I know her dad from
I
Facebook.
do know her mom and dad personally.
You do. I do. Let me say what I want to say. The support that she's given to me is what makes this whole state the what Kentucky is. She didn't care about the accolades. She didn't care about the bright lights. All she cared about was putting that jersey on that said Kentucky across the chest. And for me, that's a big deal. The situation to me, it don't feel right. She's worked her tail off for 3 years. But it's soul crushing, Brad. Um, you know,
It
it,
is. And
it's
let me kind of dig into it here. So I think it was 2 days ago now. Cassidy Rowe set on her own Instagram sent out a message, a post, saying basically that she was not returning for her senior year, that it was not her choice, that she was told no, and she heartfelt message of what it meant to her, what she's been through. She's been through 2 knee surgeries. She's been through a coaching change. I mean, she's been through a lot, and playing for Kentucky is it's all she ever dreamed of. It's all she ever wanted. Finishing her career meant something super special, not only to her, but to Lonnie and Susan as well. Rowe. Um, they are from Vergy, Kentucky. And if you know where that is, it's basically in the West Virginia mountains.
yeah.
um, I mean, you are right on the edge. I think it's in Pike County, is it not? John, you may know the
Yeah,
answer to that,
it is.
but
It's somewhere in there.
yeah,
Another thing, she played softball at Pikeville College, as well. No, actually, her mother played softball at Pikeville College.
yeah,
Susan, if I'm not mistaken.
Susan, yeah.
So
Um,
there's a lot of love and a lot of
so the fan
homegrown
base is kind of in an
players
uproar.
in
Um,
that
and
area.
and here's the deal. So in those meetings on that Monday, I'm just going to be honest with y'all from everything that I have been told, and I've got some pretty reliable sources here. Um, Kenny basically told a few of these kids that he was moving on from them. And the Big Blue Nation's having a real big problem. I have a problem with it. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to pussyfoot around it, to be honest with you. I really, I wrote an article about it, but I didn't really put a whole lot of my thoughts in on this. But Cassidy and her family bleed blue to the core. Cassidy has 1 year remaining and of eligibility to play. And most athletes, John, would take that and go somewhere else. Cassidy is choosing to never play for anybody else but Kentucky.
Yep. She was amazing.
That shows what it means to her, to be honest.
Well, and not just that, because I watched her play when she was at Shelby Valley. She was a really good basketball player for Shelby Valley. She was amazing to watch. Seeing her succeed at UK, she's bled blue and white her entire life. Her parents,
Yep.
her dad. If I'm not mistaken, her dad is a former referee
And a coach. He coached as well.
Now this is a big loss. I'm bothered and upset by this, Brad. I thought it was kind of weird when her dad posted that he was going to take a break from social media a little bit. It kind of felt like there was some things there, but I didn't want to get personal because we have to do a job and do a show, and you have to cover the UK girls, and too much being told can be too much. But I want to say this.
End this. Go ahead.
You're building a program. I get it, and a fan base, and you asked a kid who grew up basically in East Kentucky her entire life to leave. I feel like that's, to me, it's not so much on the coaches as you're hurting the fan base more or less than you are. You're kind of pushing the fan base aside a little bit.
I get it, and you're right. The fan base, it's a black eye to the fan base, and I get all that. But because I know these people personally, the people that I feel the worst for is Cassidy, Lonnie, and Susan. I mean, and here's my thing. I'm gonna say this. So senior night was just a couple of weeks before this. And I'm gonna say this. Kenny Brooks, if you knew you were going to do this, you should have let Cassidy Rowe have a senior night. Because Cassidy Rowe has bled for this university. You yourself told a story of how she cried blue tears in your office last year when you took the job. And you knew how much this meant to her and her family. Now, I will say this. Cassidy's got other plans. She's been planning it. She's engaged. She's going to be getting married pretty soon. She got accepted to the doctor in physical therapy at UK. She's planning her next life, her next chapter. And she's been doing that for a while. She's still planned on playing this year. But she is creating her next chapter in her life, including getting married. So Kenny knew all that as well. And here's my deal. If you knew that you were going to do this, the right thing to do would have been to tell her before senior day so she could have her day in Memorial Coliseum wearing the blue and white. And that's plain and simple. And I'm going to say this. I get it. He's trying to take the next step in this program and get this program to playing on days like tonight where they're playing for a right to make the Final Four. I get it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't get it. And he's locked in. He's trying to win. I don't even mind him saying that he wanted to reset and have his own players. This is year 2. He wanted to do all that last year, more than likely.
But it's difficult in your first year, though.
But what I'm telling you is I got two things. That's the first thing. And the second thing is this, Kenny. There's probably 13 to 15 roster spots. It's very doubtful that you're going to fill 15 roster spots. If Cassidy was willing to ride the bench and just be a part of a good locker room player for next year's team, those two things is what I really have a problem with. If Cassidy was willing to be a locker room player on this team next year and just be a leader and be in that locker room, I just don't see how you're going to fill 15 rosters.
I'm going to say this real quick as we move on because we got more to talk about.
Those two things is what I have an issue.
She made an announcement on Instagram where she was stepping away from college hoops to pursue a career in physical therapy. One of her quotes really stuck with me. It said, "Sometimes no is God's way of preventing us from greater heartbreak."
Yep.
That tells me what kind of person that Cassidy Rowe is. That she's putting her faith in God and she's using those plans that God has for her to succeed in life. And that right there is.
Listen, I'll be honest with you guys.
That's worth
I'm
everything.
hoping to have her on the show. I'm hoping to have her on the show sometime. May not be right away. She's got plans. I'm sure there's a lot of hurt and a lot of stuff that's going on right now. But I'm hoping to have her on the show down the road.
You know, she was a leader. I felt like she was a coach. She was a coach, Brad. At times on the floor, she supported her teammates. She's got a bright future ahead of her.
She was the first one off the bench every time a good play happened. Every time a timeout was called.
This is going to turn into a positive, I think. So to Lonnie and Susan, I just want you to know that we support you all. Cassidy, y'all been big fans of our podcast. Cassidy as well. I just want to say good luck to her and what she's accomplishing and what she's going to do in her next step with marriage and with her physical. I'm guessing it's a PT program in Lexington.
It's a physical therapy. It's a doctor. It's a doctor of physical therapy.
And I just want you to know we support you and all that you all do. And that's from the heart from me and Brad.
100%. I think they know how I really feel. So,
well, and I don't think he really trusts, and I really don't think he trusted his bench as much as he wanted to this year.
Oh, he didn't. Absolutely not. That's 100% for sure. I know. All right, so we're going to move on to what has been going on in the portal as far as visits and people that he's looking at. So this is from KSR's Phoenix Stevens. Phoenix and I know each other, and Phoenix was the first one to drop this. Over the weekend, Josie Gilvin visited Kentucky. She is a 3-year player at WKU, and she played at Sacred Heart in Louisville. She won 2 championships at Sacred Heart, back-to-back championships in 21 and 22. She averaged over 13 points a game, and she has 2.6 steals a game. She was on first team, all defensive team, Conference USA, and second team, Conference USA overall for the conference. Josie Gilvin is about a 40 or 42% three-point shooter. She averaged over 13 a game, and a great defensive player as well. So she's 6 foot. She plays guard. She has 1 year of eligibility remaining, and she did take a visit over the weekend to Kentucky. John, do you know anything about Josie Gilvin?
Not enough to give my idea.
Say anything about?
No.
Yeah, I got you.
I cover a lot.
I got you. I'm going to keep up with the women's stuff the best I can, but she is one to look out for. A couple of others, real quick, that Kentucky
now I do know who
to.
I do
Cotty McMahon.
I do know who Cotty is. She played for Ohio State. I think she was one of the ones.
Cotty McMahon is Ohio State. She's a forward there. She's about 6'3" or 6'4". She's a 2-time All Big Ten player. She averaged about 16 and a half points, about 7-8 rebounds. She's a tough-nosed player. She would be a good one. Now, there are some other teams that are in on her, but early reports were that Kentucky was one of 4 early leaders. LSU was one of them, and a couple of other big-time names. So I'm just throwing out that Kentucky was one of the early leaders for her, and she would be a good pickup. Another one was Carter McRae. She is a 6'1", but she really plays in the post. She does not shoot the three. But she's really physical. She averaged about 13, 14 points a game, about 6 or 7 rebounds a game. And she is from Wisconsin. She played last year at Wisconsin, and she is another player that Kenny has been in contact with and that Kentucky would have a chance with.
So I just got information on X just now. Olivia Miles, well, she's projected to be the number 2 pick in the draft this month, but she's going to enter the transfer portal, according to Sham. It was just reported on ESPN.
I can't imagine that she doesn't go to the WNBA. She's projected to be a top 5 pick.
That's where I'm at with that. I think she's probably going to the draft.
Yeah, I can't imagine that she doesn't go to the draft. Okay, a few other names before we move on to the men's stuff. A few other names on the women's side. So Maya Hazelton was a 3-star out of Baltimore that had committed to Kenny Brooks at Virginia Tech. She was supposed to begin. She was on the class for last year, and she chose to stay committed to Virginia Tech when the new coach come in. She's now in the portal. She's 6'4". She's, like I said, she's from the Baltimore area. She's a really pretty decent player. She's a forward, 6'4", physical. Now, she did not crack the rotation very much as a freshman with Virginia Tech's new head coach. Again, she was not recruited by this coach. So she really, I think she only appeared in like 8 or 9 games. But she's a Kenny Brooks recruit. And it would not surprise me if Kenny doesn't give her another look.
What's up, Vernon? That's my family friend from Barberville, Vernon Schwartz. He's a sight. He's a good fella.
So that's one. I do have an article on Stadium Rant about a wish list for other names on the women's side of things here. So check that out. That will give you some more names, some bigger names here. So, check that out. And I also have an article about Cassidy Rowe, stadiumrant.com. The last 2 days, those 2 articles have come out. Check out college sports or look up Brad Harvey on Stadium Rant, and they'll be under there. All right, John, let's get to some men's stuff here. And when we last was on, we still had a game to play. So we're going to start with Kentucky's March run ends in the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, John, we did not play good and did not look good and got our butts beat by the Tennessee Vols on Friday night.
Yeah, it was
in
Kentucky.
The Sweet 16.
Kentucky just had no answers. Their shooting was not great.
We were behind 12 to 15 points all night, literally.
Kentucky led for just 32 seconds. That was what, 3-2?
3-2 or something. Yeah.
Tennessee took command early. They was up 43-28 at halftime. It really never got within 12 points in the final 20 minutes. Outside shooting was very, very bad. All season long in the 2 wins against the Vols, Kentucky was really good from the perimeter. They hit 12 of 24 from long range
in both of
those games.
Yep.
And to be honest, Zakai Ziegler, he controlled this game. He had like 10 assists against Kentucky. He just, Chaz Lanier hit some big threes.
Appreciate you, Greg.
I tell you what killed
Appreciate
Kentucky.
You being here, man.
I tell you what really killed the Cats Friday night. Second chance points. Rebounding. The 3-point shooting the woes were bad, but the second chance points.
Yeah, the rebounding was horrible. They killed us, especially in the first half. They killed us on the glass.
They killed us on the glass. Tennessee had 14 second chance points that Kentucky let them have that were costly. And 2 of those came late when they stole the ball and then they hit.
I'll tell you how bad it was, John. Do you know who led us in rebounding? Do you know who led us in rebounding against Tennessee?
I'm afraid to answer.
The leading rebounder was Lamont Butler at 6.
Yeah.
That was the leading rebounder.
Yeah. And there's
a problem when your point guard's the leading rebounder.
And to me, he had the best game of anybody. He had 18 points.
Yeah. Yeah. He did. He was one of the few that actually put forth an effort to try.
Now, I'm going to tell you what Tennessee done that they didn't do in the last 2 games is they pushed Kentucky off the 3-point line. They gave them no room to operate. They couldn't get their offense going. They couldn't get any shots up. They just never could figure out Tennessee's defense. Now, there was a couple plays where Kentucky had some open shots, but the entire night there was 2 or 3 plays, Brad, where Kobe Brea was just – they was in his face. Like, he could not get a shot off.
Yeah, but he couldn't even hit a layup when he did. He went back door a couple times and couldn't even hit a layup. I mean,
this is another big stat. They had 13 second chance points off 9 offensive rebounds in the first half.
At halftime. Yes.
At halftime.
That's what I'm saying. It was the first half effort That's what bothered me about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think the effort was there, especially that first half.
I seen it when the game started. They just never seemed to be locked in. They never seemed to be ready to go. It just felt off.
I have a problem with that. Clyde just said they had a good season. They did have a pretty decent season. I'm not going to knock the season. I just have a problem. It's March Madness. It's the NCAA tournament. You're in the Sweet 16 and you're playing your rival. Why are you playing a game where it looks like you don't even really want to be there? The first half looks like our team didn't even want to be in the game. They didn't want to be there.
The effort was just really, really bad.
That's my question. That's what hurts me about it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. You got to fix that.
I really don't want to talk about this game anymore.
Yeah, you got to fix that. I'm just being honest. As a coach, as a team, as a culture, that's got to be fixed. All right, my next question, John. Are we cursed at Indy?
Well, I mean,
in the NCAA tournament?
You had the 2015 Final Four. You had the St. Peter's game. Then
you had the ugly game the other day against Tennessee.
Yeah, it's not been one of our favorite places.
What's going on when we play at Indy?
Sometimes you just don't come ready to play. And in those three games, now I will say the Final Four game, I felt like we had some opportunities to win that game against Wisconsin. There were some calls that didn't go our way. The shot clock violation should have never been allowed or should have been allowed. On Kentucky was up 4, I think, in the Final Four against Wisconsin, which now that's just a blimp on the record. But sometimes you just have games where you don't play good. You're not going to play good every single night.
To go with this, part of the reason why I put this on as a topic, by the way, the 2026 Final Four
is at Indianapolis.
Is played in Indy.
Yep.
Just want to throw that out there. So if we are cursed at Indy, the 2026 Final Four is played in Indy.
Yeah.
Can we break the curse?
Well, first of all, we're going to have to get a good roster in here with the portal, and we'll get to that in a minute because I got some names I want to kind of bring out.
And Clyde says the games in the Champions Classic that we've been, for Kansas and Michigan State as well. We played like crap there.
Pope's going to have to dig deep, and I think it's what he's done. He's trying to find the right guys for the portal. There's been a little scuttlebutt here tonight about some key guys.
Let's start with Kirk Carissa entering the portal today, and then a couple of days ago we did get a commitment. We did get a commitment with Cam Williams.
Oh, Cam Williams is probably one of my favorite portal additions. He's 6'8". He's a wing. Shoots 41% from the three. He's got a lot of height. He's got a lot of length. He can get at the rim.
He can block some shots.
He can block shots. He can shoot. He's a very good release and shooter. He kind of reminds me of those Alabama teams that we played this year. Just very length and very athletic. And then you got the whole Kerr Carissa thing, which I figured this would be the case. The whole season, it just felt off with him after his injury. Felt like he was never really coming back. And today he put his name in the portal, which I wish him the best of luck. Unfortunately, he didn't get to do a lot of good things with Kentucky because his Kentucky career was cut short by injuries against Gonzaga. But I wish him the best of luck in that regards.
I do too. I mean, I hold nothing against Kerr. Actually, speaking of him, and I put a post on Facebook about it, he actually showed up to multiple women's games and sat in the stands and helped support the women's team. I seen him there for at least 3 or 4 or 5 games this year at home games. And I think he just loves basketball.
And I'm going to tell you, and then you got the guys that are coming in next year. You got Jasper Johnson, Kentucky kid, Caden Lewis.
That's actually my next topic is possible returners, and then you can throw in the freshmen here as well.
Yeah. Well, you probably got Trent Noah coming back. You got Colin Chandler coming back. You probably got Brandon Garrison coming back.
Travis Perry
will be back. The only question mark is Brandon Garrison. Does he put his name in the portal? Out of all of them, I think. Does he try to?
How about Owe? Do you think he tests the NBA waters?
I think he does, but I think he eventually comes back.
Because I think he's the one guy that we might have to wait a couple of months for.
I think you're going to wait. You're probably going to leave a roster spot open for Owe. And if you don't get Owe back, you got to move pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think. But he's the one guy I think we probably going to have to wait a couple of months for, pretty close to a couple of months.
Yeah. And then you got, like I said, Jasper Johnson coming in, a guard. He's a Kentucky kid. Caden Lewis, he's from D.C., a 4-star, 6.2 point guard. Then you got the kid from Great Crossing, Malachi Marino, which I've been hearing a lot of good things from him from the McDonald's All-Americans games. There was a
practices.
There was a practice today, maybe. Yeah. Somebody put on X that he looked like a man among boys in the paint. That sounds good for Pope next year. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked if Malachi Marino played 20 plus next year. This kid can really play. He's 7 foot. He can rebound. He can block shots.
The only thing that I will worry about just a little bit with him is weight. I think he's got to get to Kentucky and get a little stronger.
Yeah, he's going to have to get in the weight room and get a little stronger. But I think with our strength and conditioning and with Pope, I think he's built for what Pope wants to do with his Zoom offense, the way he runs things through their big men, because Pope likes to run his offense through big guys. We've seen that with Amari Williams this year. We've seen it with Brandon Garrison. I just think with the whole Brandon Garrison thing, you cannot – I love Brandon Garrison, but I just don't think he's a starter. I think you're going to have to go out and get a guy in this portal to kind of put in that starting rotation and give Brandon Garrison another opportunity to come off the bench, because I don't think he's your main go-to guy.
Well, that kind of leads me I was going to ask you, John, I'm going to be honest with you. The last 3 days, it seems like Kentucky has reached out to 40 kids. What the hell's going on?
Maybe 100.
Like, what the hell's going on? We can't have 40 kids on the team.
Well, they reached out to Magoon Gwath. He's a 7-foot center, elite defender from San Diego State.
By the way, it is Brandon Garrison's birthday, so happy birthday to Brandon Garrison.
Magoon Gwath, he's a transfer from San Diego State, 7-footer. Like I said, he's an elite defender, can really clean the glass, can take it outside and shoot. He, according to who I talked to,
Mountain West Freshman of the Year, I think, or
Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year. Okay.
It's down to Michigan and Kentucky most likely, and maybe a go back to San Diego State, which I don't think he'll be going back. Yaxel Lindenborg, he's a UAB, lot of draft potential, possibly late first rounder. He's really, really good. Averaged 17 points per game, 11 rebounds a game. That's the big fish. If Pope wants to get in this portal and really throw a bag at somebody, this is one that I would throw a bag at.
There's the USC kid, the Hall kid that
The
put up a
Hall
lot
kid,
of points.
Fulgaris he's the Horizon Player of the Year from Robert Morris. Now that's the one that I want. If we're being honest, 14 points per game. He can shoot it from three. I think he averaged 41 points per game. Then you got the Thomas kid from UNLV. I think he had a Zoom call with UK. But there was a lot of rumors earlier this morning that he was Michigan bound. But now Elliot Cadeau has went to Michigan. Now where does that kind of turn him to?
But there's so many others. There's Lamar Wilkinson. There's D2 kids. There's
the Damari kid from
Reed
Georgia.
Bailey. There's Silas Demery. They've reached out to 45 kids.
Well, and then you got Keyshawn Hall, the UCF transfer. I think he had a Zoom call. Fulgaris now, this was told, I think, by Jacob Polacek from KSR. He's currently in Spain. So contact has been made, but they've not put a visit up yet. So I'm not real sure what's going on there. And then as I was getting on here, Kentucky had reached out to Jacoby Gillespie from Maryland. He's actually a Tennessee native.
I wouldn't be shocked. Be a good one. I think that'd be a good one.
He was a really good Big Ten player from Maryland.
What about R.J. Louise from St. John's?
That's another one that I would think by looking at. He was Player of the Year for St. John's in the Big East.
I mean, that says a lot right there.
And then there was a rumor today. Well, that wasn't really a rumor. It was might have been Joe Tipton, Polacek, can't remember. But Kentucky is going to be in high contact with Rylan Griffin from Kansas, former Alabama guard. Had a great first year at Alabama, his freshman year. I felt like he was one of the better players.
Transferred to Kansas and was never
really developed. I don't know what happened. It was the offense.
That was a little knock on Kansas. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of it was the offense that they was playing in. It didn't set up for what he wanted to do. I think he would be good in a good offensive system like Pope's. So many guys to look at. And this is probably, Brad, going to go on for 2 months.
Like, it's crazy. So I'm so used to recruiting, kind of narrowing it down and like going out hitting 5 or 6 of them and like really spending your time.
Kentucky.
Pope seems to he has a wide net, man. I mean, he puts it out there. And he's almost like the internet. I mean, it's just like
and just now, a Kentucky target just went to Purdue. Oscar Clough from South Dakota State. They just picked him up.
I never even heard of that dude.
Yeah, he was. It was early for them. I think that Iowa State and Purdue was really on his tail towards the end. I'm not sure Kentucky really was a big threat there, but. A lot's happening.
Victorious Miller is another one that they've talking about him. What's up with all these Zoom meetings? Like, I want to say this. Until COVID, I had never in my life ever heard of a Zoom meeting. When COVID happened, all of a sudden Zoom just took off, Zoom meetings and all this stuff took off. And before that, I'd never heard of it in my life. What's up with all the Zoom meetings now? It seems like Pope is having a Zoom meeting every hour.
I just think it's the new age of things.
I mean, can't you FaceTime with somebody? What's up with the Zoom meeting? What makes the Zoom meeting I don't know. It's just weird to me.
I don't know. I think it's just a new way of doing business. especially with athletes, since you can't actually go there and be there because you got to think, Brad, some of these kids are still playing basketball. Some of them are working out.
Well, up until 2 or 3 days ago, Kentucky was still playing basketball.
Well, and the thing too, you can't just hop on a plane and go see somebody without having contact. There's a lot that has to go into all this. I think you're going to see this a lot more, especially, and it's going to help with kind of getting to know the person on one-on-one level, like sort of like me and you here talking on the podcast. It's sort of like a level of like a trust thing to where we can talk and talk about what you want, what your likes, what your dislikes are. Or unless you're Pope, Silas Demery, you ask him what's for dinner and you end up going to his house. So, I mean, Pope ain't shy about stuff like that. So,
speaking of going to his house, how about visits? Like last year when Pope took over, if you remember, I mean, Carr came to a visit here. Amari Williams came on a visit here. I mean, a lot of the guys that we got here on campus wind up committing to Kentucky. The one that I remember that we missed on was the guard from St. Mary's that went to UConn. What was his name?
Aiden Mahaney.
He came for a visit and then wound up going to UConn. But most of the ones we got for visits committed to us.
Well, and another Kentucky target. Well, I don't think he was much for Obi Agman. He committed to Baylor a few hours ago. That was another one Kentucky was more or less Kentucky fans was kind of pushing for.
Well, my question to you is, out of 100 of these kids that we seem to be talking to, who do you actually think that we could get here for a visit, and who do you think we might be able to land out of some of these?
I think Rylan Griffin is a big one. I think Silas Demery is going to at least go on his visits. He's probably going to take his time. Me and you talked about that. He's going to St. John's and UConn. Then he's got a thing scheduled with Duke. I think he would be a plus. I think you're going to get Jacoby Gillespie's going to be one. I think he's going to be a guy that you look at, which he's a Tennessee native.
Do we get this UAB or UCF?
I think you get Yaxel. I think you get Yaxel on campus. I'm going to tell you something, Brad, and I know this is not going to sit right with a bunch of these fans, but this stuff's going to take almost all summer. And I said, and there's probably still some guys.
Some of these guys that's in the portal right now that's hot that you're talking to probably won't be here in a week.
Well, here's the thing. And I told people this. I even told you this yesterday. This is the part of the year where it gets really, really boring. After the Final Four championship, you got NBA, you got baseball, which everybody has their feelings on baseball. I still think it's the longest game. I think, I try to watch it when I can, but it's very long. Then you got the summer games,
just
like
make bigger bats.
Yeah, you got the summer games like with the Jordan Brands. You got the McDonald's All-American game coming up, I think, tomorrow night. There's just a lot happening, and you're probably not going to see this roster really fill out till probably the end of July. And I know fans don't want to hear that.
You got to get it done before that.
Well, what I mean, get it all together, get the team together, put them together, practice. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be about
Amex or whatever his name is was supposed to commit tomorrow. Now he's pushed that off. He's a freshman that we're still after. Now, here's my thing. I have heard that him pushing this off is probably a good thing for Kentucky. because most likely if he was going to commit tomorrow, it would not have been Kentucky from what I'm hearing.
I'm gonna give you a name that nobody's really said yet.
He's at the McDonald's All-American, the one I just mentioned.
He just put his name in the portal earlier today. Jacksonville State, Jaron Pierre. He averaged 21 points per game last year. I wouldn't be shocked. He's one of the top players in the portal, and he does have a do not tag list contact. But I would not be shocked if Pope gave this kid a look. If Kentucky kind of bounces out on their guard guys. But I'm not expecting that. I think Pope's going to get his guys. I think he's got guys that he's got in mind. I think he's got players that fit his system and that run the way he wants to run his system. And I just think that the fans need to be patient. I know there's a lot of fans out there right now that are kind of impatient saying, why ain't we got nobody yet? Why ain't we got this? Well, there's a lot of schools that ain't got nobody yet. North Carolina's not got nobody. Kansas has not got nobody.
Well, John, everybody that's going to be in the portal is not even in the portal yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You still got teams playing. There's the Crown. There's 16 teams still playing in that. The NIT still got 4 teams. The Final Four still got 4.
There's still a lot of things going on.
So there are still teams and players that are not even in the portal yet.
And Alabama just got one of their first. The 7-foot Noah Williamson, the Patriot League Player of the Year from Bucknell. That's a big pickup for Nate Oates. Averaged 17 points a game last year.
Yep. So what about Flory from Kansas?
I'm hearing he's an Auburn lean right now. Just from what I'm kind of gathering from people.
McKenzie McBako or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's another one, but I'm not really sure about him.
He's a former McDonald's All-American. I mean, wouldn't be a bad look.
Who wouldn't? I just think there's still a lot to gather here. So there's going to be rumors from here to April. April starts tomorrow. There's going to be rumors from here till July. At the end of June.
Yeah.
And don't believe everything you read on X because there's a lot of fanboy accounts, like UK accounts that are going around saying that, well, we got this guy. We've locked him up. Be ready. All this stuff. Don't believe all that. Because
even Jacob Palachek or whatever his name is, he was off on the Eagle staff stuff. So
the Dent stuff. Things change. And by the way, one of our commitments just went to LSU.
One of our commitments.
The Thomas kid from UNLV.
Oh, Dean Thomas? Really?
Dean Thomas went to LSU just now.
That's a good pickup for them.
That's a nice pickup, to be honest.
That's a good pickup for them, man. He's a top 10 guy.
He is. He's a dog. Right, I watched him in UNLV. He's really, really good.
Yeah, that's a good pickup for them, to be honest.
So we're going to start.
All right, guys.
We're going to start to see some commitments tape up. And I forgot to add, Kentucky women reached out to Yarden Gerzon from Indiana. She's a transfer guard, led the Hoosiers in scoring. I think she shot 40% from deep. Phoenix Stevens posted that, I think, over an hour ago. So that's another guard that Kenny Brooks has reached out to.
Yep.
He's looking for some elite. He's looking for some elite shooters, looks like.
He definitely needs a guard to replace Amore, and that's going to be hard to do. But you're going to have a good guard. She's not going to be probably as good as Georgia, but he definitely needs a good guard, and he needs. I think he needs a big girl with some size. The physicality of the league kind of hurt us.
And I will say this, since everybody's asking about this, because everybody's seen it. I know they've seen it. and I know they saw who just put themselves in the portal earlier today. Big Z. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of we hadn't spoke on that yet.
Listen, Big Z, I thought he should have stayed last year, to be honest with you. I think, me personally, I think he would excel in Pope's offense.
He would. The way he runs, the way he, the pick and roll stuff.
The pick and roll and the pick and pop
like
for
he
him.
knows, like, to me, he's an absolute fit. But from what I was told today, watch Illinois. He might be going back to be with his brother.
Yeah, that's the one that I would be on the lookout for Illinois.
That's what I've been hearing. So
yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up for tonight.
One on more. Pope mentioned on his radio show that he's looking for character, decision making, shooting, and a motor that are on top of his list. So hopefully we get a guy like Yaxel, because Yaxel has a motor. He's one of those that if he don't go to the pros, I'm throwing a bag at that kid. That's probably the best guy in the portal right now, in my opinion.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. We will continue to do these shows for at least a week or two or more here to kind of give you an update of the things that's going on in the portal and who's in and who's out and all of that kind of stuff weekly here for Kentucky women's and men's basketball. And then this week, we will be talking about the Final Fours on both men's and the women's and giving you some picks. I think we'll be doing that tomorrow night.
Yeah, because I don't think we're going to do anything Friday. So
no, the Good Friday. The Final Four games are Friday. So
I will say that our Fridays are probably going to be pushed back to Tuesdays now because there's not a lot of games in it. There won't be no more games anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll probably just do a Monday and Tuesday show.
Yep.
This summer from now on.
And we may not do the Monday show, the Big Blue show. It depends on how the rosters go and things.
If we get a portal yet or something like that, yeah.
But once the lineups are kind of set and the rosters are kind of set, it'll get pretty lame in the midsummer.
It's baseball season, man. It's baseball season, man.
But we will even then we will do a weekly show and just kind of give you up on news and stuff like that.
And we're getting closer to SEC football media days, man. It's jumping, man.
It won't be long.
I'm just praying Kentucky football gets back to their original
some culture and some discipline. That's what I want to see.
Culture, yeah. That's what I want to see next year.
And play and put some points on the board, please. Finally, can we resuscitate our offense because it was damn near dead last year.
Brad's kind of giving you an idea that this is not the 1940s. This is like the
Lord have mercy. You ain't gonna beat many teams scoring 12 points a game in the SEC.
No,
I'm gonna tell you that now.
That's a true fact. Yep.
This isn't 1980. You're not going to win games 9-7.
We actually had a few of my buddies on from Knox County tonight. Hammer Time. Well, his real name's Vernon Schwartz. He calls me Hammer Time. I'll have to give you a kind of an insight on why he calls me that. So, pretty big name because I used to be a good baseball player back in the day, Brad.
All right, man.
I used to have a little bit of junk in my arm when I could throw the baseball. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, man. Sounds cool. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow night. We will talk about the Final Fours and the matchups and the games for both teams. Matter of fact, I got to find out if Texas beat TCU.
They did. Texas is going to the Final Four, yep.
Okay. Because it was on when we started this. So
yeah, Texas made it. So
okay.
58 to 47, I believe.
All right. So that'll be another one. And then USC and UConn is playing right now or fixing to start. So,
Yep. So,
all right. We
congrats
will
to
see
Texas
you
A&M.
guys tomorrow night.
Congrats to Vic
That's
Schaefer.
two SEC in the women's and two SEC in the men's.
Heck of a coach, but Vic Schaefer's a heck of a coach.
And honestly, it's a shame that both of them match up against each other.
Yeah, it is.
USC and Texas play, and Auburn and Florida play.
It's going to be fun.
All right. We will see you tomorrow night.
Have a good one.